Well, we've successfully dusted off the cobwebs from the off-season. Now we're getting ourselves ready for the second race in the Formula Regional Middle East Championship 2024. After the opening encounter, there's obviously a lot of questions still unanswered, and a lot of the teams, such as R&B Racing, are still getting up to speed. And this second race of the championship provides new opportunities and new challenges again, as it's not going to be quite as clear-cut as race one. So let's see how things are going to unfold. Well, the cars are now heading out onto the circuit here at YAS Marina. We are ready for racing to get underway then for the second time this weekend in Formula Regional Middle East. And what a battle it's going to be. Another reverse grid encounter. So it's obviously going to be another tough mission out there for all of the contenders. We will have a seriously close battle. It's not going to be quite so easy for the drivers to dial themselves in today. Obviously, we've just had an absolutely scintillating reverse grid race in F4 UAE, but now the circuit is even hotter than it was at the start of that race. The sun has been out for quite some time now, and it's definitely going to be very intriguing to see how things will continue to develop. We're going to be right at the sharp end of the grid, ready to see how our competitors are ready to get on, and we're going to have a scintillating battle right from the outset. So many great drivers battling for the top spot. Taylor Barnard, of course, who won the race yesterday, now not able to start any higher than P10 for this one. So he's going to be the one charging his way through. But as we saw from several drivers in the reverse grid race in F4 earlier today, it's not just about when you win, it's about how many points you can score when you're not able to. It's all about consistency and taking names when you're out there on the course. And so there's plenty of drivers that are going to be in a strong situation as we gear ourselves up, ready for another scintillating start. But there's plenty of opportunities to charge forward and to make big plays out there on the course. So we should see some really intriguing racing out there on the course. 28 minutes plus 1 lap once again on the YAS Marina Grand Prix circuit. The corkscrew layout is the one we're using this weekend. The slightly shorter configuration, which sees the cars drop their way down in the middle of the course on the way down to the new hairpin section. Instead of flowing down the hill, they turn sharp left and then drop dramatically for a left-right-left sequence of corners, very akin to the corkscrew section that we see on the Laguna Seca circuit in Monterey in California. But it's a real challenge for these guys, particularly this season, because none of the racers have actually gone wheel-to-wheel here on that particular layout for 3 years. So it really is quite astonishing to see just how many battles we're going to be faced with on this one. Lots of personalities down here on the starting grid, and I've actually found one. Obviously, we've got a great competitor to have a word with, if we can. I thought we were going to be able to have a quick chat with Luca Badua, but he's clearly quite nervous that his son Brando is obviously going to get himself under starter's orders very shortly. I thought he might be able to have a word with us. It's amazing, isn't it, just how much emotion these guys are feeling. And it's one thing when it's your own race, but when it's your child's race, that's very different, or certainly when it's a relative. I've been seeing these guys in very different lights, the likes of Luca Badua or even Juan Pablo Montoya, who manages a lot of young Colombian talents, including his own nephew, of course. And there's something about the high-pressure situation. They just don't want to talk on the grid. They're quite nervous about how things are ready to gear up. So there you go, I've had my first Martin Brundle snub of the season, but fortunately me and Luca are still good friends. I just know the reason why he snubbed me. It's nothing personal, he's just nervous for Brando, so it's okay. Don't worry, I can take it. I can take a pushover. Anyway, we're getting ourselves ready for the start. So many big talents in Formula Regional this year. It's one of the most competitive championships in single-seater history, and we're only in the second race of the season. Looking at the way the front to the back of the grid have been separated, it's only been competitively about 3 seconds covering the entire field, which is rather extraordinary. In fact, if you go from about first down to about 25th, there's only been a second. So sneeze in the wrong direction and you're going to lose yourself 2 to 3 tenths of a second. It's going to be a nightmare in terms of the qualifying sessions this year. Marty Boyer making his way to the starting grid for the Pinnacle Motorsport team, one of the stars of this championship. Last year he won in Dubai, and now he is battling away at YAS Marina, hoping for more success. And he makes his way to 5th position on the starting grid, having finished in fourth place yesterday in his first race of the season. So he has another good chance of a decent result here as a result of that. Making the way to the starting grid, Rafael Camara now puts himself in P6 of the starting grid. So he finished 5th yesterday, so now he goes off P6. I was incorrect with Murray Boyer. Obviously, he finished in 6th position yesterday, so now he goes off P5 today. This is a very tough race battle for all of the contenders out there. It's the hottest race of the season so far. It's early enough to say that because we are obviously in the second race of the year. But the man making his way to pole position is going to have quite an incredible run if he is able to stay where he currently is, because Arvid Lindblad is making his way to pole position. The Red Bull young gun with a very tough mission in front of him. This time last year, he was battling for F4 honours. Now he gets to start from reverse grid pole in his second Formula Regional race. This is a big opportunity for young Arvid Lindblad, the British racer with Swedish heritage. So Arvid Lindblad, who's just come off the back of winning the Macau F4 Invitational. It's a big opportunity again here, YAS Marina. Not his first time on this circuit, and certainly not his first time starting from pole position either in the Middle East. But certainly in Formula Regional, he's never had it quite so tough as this before. And he's certainly turning into a big name to watch out for the future. But then there's quite a few of those down the grid. I mentioned that there's some very famous offspring on the racing grid here in Formula Regional. I talked about Badua earlier on. Of course, he is son of Luca Badua, who was the Ferrari Formula 1 test driver, Michael Schumacher domination era, and that was all exciting. But there is starting grid way back, Emerson Fittipaldi Jr. for the MP Motorsport team. And hey, if Emerson Fittipaldi Jr. is in tower, you've got to hope that Senior is. Well, fortunately he is, and I was able to have a very special word with him yesterday. Can't walk through a motor racing paddock without bumping into a legend, and what a legend we have. Double world champion and Indy 500 winner, Emerson Fittipaldi. Emerson, so good to see you here, my friend.
No, nice to see you. It's great to be here on this beautiful track. That's already one of the most traditional tracks of Formula One, for the new ones. And I have all these lions, the young lions here, to have the dream to be a Formula One driver. Driving here in Abu Dhabi is fantastic.
Now, you are one of the most versatile racers that's ever walked the planet. You've done from Formula One into IndyCar and into various categories. A lot of the drivers here are obviously coming out of one car and into another. You know better than most how to be adaptable and versatile behind the wheel. What sort of skills are we looking for from these drivers to really find the pace initially?
Well, I think the first is the feeling that they have for the car. Because each car you drive, you have to immediately have a feeling. If it's a difficult car to drive, is not forgiven, is understeering, oversteering, all that situation. And then you have to give yourself at the high level of your performance to different situations. And the best example that used to be one of my idols still, and was a very tough competitor, is Mario Andretti. Mario drove everything. I tell Mario when I see anything with wheels, he drove, he was fast, he crashed, and he win.
Amazing. It's fantastic to hear some of the stories. Obviously, you're here as an interested fan of motor racing, but you're also here as a racing father. The family business just keeps on going. We've seen Pietro come through, we've seen Enzo come through, and now Emo Jr. is behind the wheel.
Well, I'm so excited to have Emo now with a MP, with a very good team. Emo has the dream to be a Formula One driver, like the father, and it's a very tough road, but you know, God is blessing us to be here. I'm so grateful to God to be able to be here racing with my son, and that's my life. And having him, you know, as a father, always the heart. I have to have a coach between myself and Emo, because father and son is too emotional.
I was actually going to ask you, what's tougher, being a Formula One driver or being a racing dad?
I say that a racing father and mother of Miss Brazil, Miss England, Miss Universe are disasters.
Well, let's talk a little bit about how Emo is getting on. He's obviously been racing in Formula Regional out in Europe for the last year. How is he adapting to the change of conditions here, the different tyres? How is he adapting?
No, he's very excited. Yes, finally we found a good setup, a good set of tires. He was very fast. He's looking today to put up, qualifies like 3-4 laps, and it's very tough, but he's happy, he's focused, has a great team, great engineer. We have all the ingredients to do well. Now he's on God's hand.
Okay, well, hopefully Emo's going to be able to put in a good performance, and you have a good vantage point to watch it all from.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Emerson. Good to talk to you.
Thank you.
Honestly, he's a lovely, lovely man, Emerson Fittipaldi. He just does not have an ego at all, and he's an incredible ambassador for the world of motor racing. And it's incredible when you think just how many astonishing racing drivers there are in the Fittipaldi family. You've obviously got Emerson, you've got Wilson, you've got Wilson Jr., you've got Christian, who of course was racing in Formula One and IndyCar. You've got Emerson Fittipaldi Jr. here on the grid. You've got Enzo, you've got Pietro. Goodness me, there's a whole dynasty. It's absolutely wonderful. And I have to say, to Emerson Fittipaldi Jr., very unfortunate the way things have been going for him so far. He's just not had the pace in qualifying that he had in practice. In practice, he was running around the top 5, and it all just disappeared for him and the MP Motorsport team. Not entirely sure what happened there, but certainly it all disappeared for him, so he's had to do things the hard way, and he's definitely on the back foot. We're not entirely sure why the pace just evaporated, but hopefully he'll be able to make his way, come back into another incredible race later on this season. But Arvid Lindblad lining up in pole position alongside the Kazakhstani racer Alexander Abkasava on the front row of the grid. This could be really tricky indeed for him off the grid. Zachary David and Tazanapol Intrafivazak. Watch out for those two. Great racecraft from both of them shown and demonstrated yesterday. They could be in for an attack or two. Marty Boya, P5, Rafael Camara, P6. There is Teofil Nal, the Spanish F4 champion from last year, doing a terrific job stepping up into Formula Regional and already getting right up to speed. James Wharton, the F4 UAE champion from last year, lining up 7th on the grid for this one alongside Martinius Stenshorn of the Race GP squad. Then it is Tukka Tarpanen, the Tiger, who ended up on the podium with Taylor Barnard and Martinius Stenshorn yesterday. Barnard starting P10, of course, having to because of the reverse grid situation. The top 10 are reversed in Formula Regional, the top 12 in F4 UAE. Then in 11th place, is Valerio Renicella on the grid for this one alongside the British driver John Bennett, who did a great job yesterday, and I think he kind of went under the radar. So I wanted to give a little bit of a shout out to John because him and the Evans GP team have definitely been marching their way through the timesheets all weekend. 13th place for Teofil Nal alongside Nikhil Bora, another man who came back brilliantly after a difficult qualifying session on Saturday morning and stormed his way through to 14th. Then Matteo De Palo, Yugawaga Chukwu, who had a nightmare start in yesterday's race. Brunadel Pino in 17th alongside the Brazilian Pedro Clero. Then Noah Lyle, who is actually Australian but runs and races under a British licence, alongside Emerson Fittipaldi Jr., who is in 20th position on the grid. Costa Taparis and Ricky Liu, who are on row 11. Then Giovanni Mascio and Jessica Rasquedo. Yaroslav Veselaho is alongside Gout Yujia, and then Wang Xiongwei in 27th on the grid. And then right at the back after their difficulties yesterday, Brando Badilla and Finley Green, the Welshman, who didn't actually take up the start of yesterday's race. I'm delighted to say that he is going to take the start of this one. So unfortunate that we didn't really get to see the Welsh Dragon flag on any race suits in the race yesterday. We certainly do now, as Finley Green, the former Ginetta racer, now steps into Formula Regional. It's one thing to go from Ginettas into single-seaters, but to go from the jump of Ginettas into Formula Regional, that is quite a solid step up. And it showcases that Finley Green, definitely not one to do things by halves, but then when you're Welsh, you really don't back down from a challenge, do you? So Arvid Lindblad and Alex Abkasava on the front row of the starting grid for the second race of the Formula Regional Middle East Championship 2024 here at the YAS Marina circuit. On the support Grand Prix paddock for the start, which means that turn 1 is fairly fast and fairly flowing, actually, as a hairpin on the run to the W Hotel. Jake Sanson with you in the commentary box. And boy, oh boy, is this going to be a drama-filled fuel fest. This one could be a very tricky race battle particularly for our pole position sitter, Arvid Lindblad. But from his point of view, all he's got to do is get into the first corner first, and the likes of Abkasavra, David and Interfuvazak can squabble amongst themselves and leave the Red Bull youngster to continue on in fine style. And if he picks up a win in the second race of his Formula Regional career, well, that'll definitely keep the guys at Red Bull happy. I'm sure that Dr. Helmut Marko and Christian Horner will be watching the progress of this young lad with interest here from pole position. There's very little else to do in the Formula One paddock this time of the year, so keep an eye on this young boy. But Arvid Lindblad having a really exciting run from the front of the grid. Alongside him, Alex Abkasava, Zachary David and Tazanopol Interfuvazak on the second row. Then Marty Boyer and Rafael Kamara. James Wharton and Martinius Stenshorn from Tuukka Tarpanen and Taylor Barnard. Then Valerio Renicella and John Bennett from Teofil and Nikhil Bora. Matteo De Palo and Hugo Ugochukwu, Bruno Del Pino and Pedro Claro, Noah Lyle, Emerson Fittipaldi Jr., Costa Taparis, Rick Giliu, Giovanni Mascio, Jesse Cadascado, Yaroslav Vesalaho, Gao Yujia, Wang Chongwei, Brando Badua and Finlay Green of Wales. So all of the competitors getting themselves in the mix. And I wanted to say a massive thank you, by the way, to everybody who's been sending me messages of various kinds after yesterday. Mostly positive, one or two picking me up on a couple of things. I don't mind that, feedback is always good. To the one person who decided to pick me up on my pronunciation of Tuukka Tarpanen, I hope I just spelled it right. I'm always happy to correct myself if I'm wrong. So let's see how it all continues for the competitors as we are now rip-roaring ready for another terrific run. Lindblad, Abkasava, David, Interfuvazak. Interesting comment coming in from Unit Cosman, who says it's an iRacers grid. You know what? That's not actually that far from the truth, because there's quite a few of these guys who I've accidentally crossed swords with on iRacing in the past. So there's a couple of stories that I probably won't tell on this particular broadcast. Maybe a few years down the line when some of them are in Formula One. So let's see how it's all going to continue on. So Arvid Lindblad and Alexander Abkasava from the front row of the grid. Then David, Interfuvazak, Marty Boyer, Kamara, Wharton, I believe it's pronounced Martinius Stenshorn. He never came and corrected me in karting when I said it like that, and I did ask him. Maybe he was just being polite. Tuukka Tarpanen, Taylor Barnard, Valerio Renicella and John Bennett. This is going to be a very ferocious race. They make their way to the starting grid once again. However you are tuning in, whether it's via YouTube, Facebook or Motorsport TV, great to be with you once again. Jake Sanson here at the YAS Marina circuit, overlooking the W Hotel, and what a sight it is. As everybody here is gearing up for another sensational race. We had an absolute classic in F4 UAE earlier on today. Now, hopefully, we'll have the same in Formula Regional Middle East. Yesterday was calm, collected, hard and ruthless. No safety cars, no yellow flags, just no-nonsense motorsport. What are we going to get in this reverse grid race today with Arvid Lindblad starting from pole position? The final couple of cars into position. Finlay Green takes up the start. Hasn't raced, of course, since Ginetta Super Cup about 3-4 years ago. The green flag flies, and we are ready to race for the second time this weekend in Formula Regional Middle East 2024 at YAS Marina. The lights come on. Let's go racing at YAS Marina. And it's a terrific start from Lindblad, but it's a better start from Abkasava. He's going to draw level, and Abkasava might beat Lindblad to the first corner. Watch out around the outside. Zachary David's going to attack. Lindblad trying to go the long way round to fend off Abkasava. Can he get the job done? Yes, brilliant from Lindblad. Absolutely superb comeback from the Red Bull youngster. Well, disaster thwarted there by Arvid Lindblad. It almost went wrong, and a big slide from one of the Race GP cars. I think that's Stenshorn, who's got a terrific start. Now tucks in behind one of the Mumbai Falcons. I think that was Rafael Kamara. Murray Boyer already in the wars with Tuukka Tarpanen. So as they work their way through, we go out of the W Hotel and on the run down to the main straight in Formula One. Here they come. And it is Arvid Lindblad who leads the way. Terrific stuff. The man who won at Macau in F4. Oh, there's a couple of cars running wide on the exit of the final turn in Formula One, known as turn 16. Now they come into turn 1. Interestingly, in Formula Regional, it's not the end of the lap. So Nikhil Bora battling wheel to wheel with Teofil Nal in the Santalok. They work their way through. Now, instead of dropping all the way down the hill, they will brake now, and they will turn sharp left as they drop down through the corkscrew, then through the right and through the left. No rubber laid down on this part of the circuit for 3 years. Now they come back onto the back straight. You're probably wondering, why do they do that? Why don't they use the full Grand Prix layout? Well, they will be, but not till next week. Great battles going on further back as the MP Motorsport boys are in the wars. That's Valerio Rinicella trying to defend from John Bennett. Murray Boyer keeping one of the PHM guys at bay. That is Taylor Barnard. So Boyer and Barnard renew their battles from last year as now Nikhil Borachai. Here comes the battle for second position as Alexander Abkasava is losing ground to Zachary David. And here comes Tazan Trfivazak trying to squeeze past them both. 3 wide. Surely Trfivazak can't get that done. He has to bail out. Abkasava trying to hold second. Don't tell me another guy's going to go right round the outside of me. No, Abkasava's learned his lesson. And Zachary David goes to the runoff. Rejoins. Watch out for Trfivazak. Here comes Rafael Kamara as well in 5th position. Very close together, but there's not a lot that Trfivazak can do. He tries to draw level, but Abkasava matches him. Well, Zachary David holds him back, sorry. Zachary David holding on in front of Trfivazak. He was 28 thousandths of a second ahead of Abkasava over the line, but unfortunately he fell back behind him as Alexander Abkasava was able to defend valiantly, and this is absolute child's play for Arvid Lindblad up front. All he's got to do is drive the car, and he leads comfortably in front of Abkasava. Bit of a late lunge there from Stenzorn, as Kamara has fallen into the clutches of his teammate James Wharton. Wharton, meanwhile, is battling with his old adversary, Duke Tarpanen, who he battled with in F4 UAE last year, and I think that is Wharton thwarted. Tarpanen's got through. So Duke Tarpanen has managed to get his way through. The Tiger has already pounced, and he gets through past Wharton, away from Boyer, away from Barnard, and away from Rinicella. Teofil in 12th, then Bora and Del Pino. Then it is John Bennett in front of Noah Lyle and Matteo De Palo, then Ricky Liu. Murray Boyer and Taylor Barnard going wheel to wheel down to the chicane. Barnard has to bail out of it again. He wants to win this championship. You can't win every race. You can definitely push to work your way forward and score as many points as possible. And he's just seen how Freddie Slater's done it in F4. He wants to do likewise in Formula Regional. So Murray Boyer down to the hairpin. In through turn 1 of this course. Lindblad is already skating away. 2.3 seconds clear of Abkasava, who's still under pressure from Zach David. The Maltese driver is gunning for him. Here comes the move into the W Hotel. Watch out as well for Taz Trfivazak. If there's anybody on this grid who is a serial overtaker, it is Tazanapol Trfivazak from Thailand. Definitely one to watch. Certainly the next in line of the great Thai talents. Oh, and into the wall, that's Wang Xiongwei. Wang Xiongwei's gone off there, and that's on the exit of the first corner, I do believe. So that is Wang Xiongwei parked in the barriers with a broken front wing on the right side. I think the wheel might have been buried in there as well. Abkasava still defending from Zachary David. David's got a better run. Abkasava's run wide. Is that enough for Zachary David to get into second? It is. He storms through. So Zachary David into second. Here comes Taz Trfivazak. He's going to commit as well. Down into the corkscrew. And there's yellow flags flying. Taz has spotted it. Is that safety car? Yes, it is. Safety car, safety car. Well, that was kind of inevitable, really, once we saw Wang Xiongwei's car in the barrier. But it is safety car conditions now on the course. And thank goodness Taz Trfivazak spotted it in time, because that could have been a penalty. But now he's not going to get one. Well, Arvid Lindblad had managed to pull 2.4, 2.5 seconds clear of the rest of the field. And now that lead has just been extinguished. So Wang Xiongwei, unfortunately, the Chinese driver, is the one that's gone off there at turn 1. There is a safety car ready to bunch up the field. So Lindblad, Abkasava, now behind Zachary David, who is in second place. Abkasava third, then Trfivazak, Stenzorn, Kamara, Tarpanen, Wharton, Boyer, and Barnard. That's your top 10. So there is, oh yes, look at the damage that's been taken there to Wang Xiongwei's car. Absolutely crunched in on the right front quarter. So I'm afraid that is done and dusted for Wang Xiongwei of China. Famous for racing in the Porsche Carrera Cup Asia, very successful there as well. But I should point out that Wang Xiongwei has still got a lot to learn about the world of single-seaters. They're a very different kettle of fish compared to the Porsche. And as he climbs out, he's able to do so unaided. That is good news. So as Wang Xiongwei clambers out of the car, and he'll have a very short walk back to the pits, but it will be no consolation to him at all. So the field bunches up once again. As Unit Kosmin points out, it's not that weird to see a Red Bull livery in the leading position. Well, no, it isn't. Certainly over the last decade or so, it's been quite commonplace. Decade and a half, I should really say now. That just shows you how old I'm getting. Arvid Lindblad leads the race. That's not an uncommon thing to say either, but certainly considering this is only his second Formula Regional race, it shows you how impressive Arvid Lindblad is. He got himself into a calculated position yesterday. He knew he couldn't win the race, so he thought, right, where can I finish? Well, I can be P10, and I can get a reverse grid pole. That's smart thinking, as far as Arvid Lindblad is concerned. Calculated. You don't always have to race hard. You can race smart if you want to win races. And Arvid Lindblad proving the point very avidly indeed here. So excellent work from all of the competitors as they continue to put on a great showcase. The safety car holding them at the corkscrew. Lindblad, David, Abkasava, Interfavazak, Stenzorn, Kamara, Tarpanen, Wharton, Boyer and Barnard. Behind them is Valerio Inicella in the MP. Teofil Nal looking good in 12th in front of Bruno Del Pino, Nikhil Bora and then John Bennett ahead of Noah Lyle, Hugo Chukwu, Matteo De Palo, Ricky Liu, Pedro Claro and Emerson Fittipaldi, the two Brazilians. Jessica Rasquedo, Costa de Paris, Brando Badoa, Giovanni Mascio, Finley Green, who has worked his way past Yaroslav Veselaho and Gao Ugia. Not a bad comeback for the Welshman so far, considering he missed the race yesterday. The opportunity for him to come back and do such a good job today. He's not taking it lying down. Good lad. Double waved yellows at turn 9. That is the corner they're about to approach. Just to confuse you, the race start happens between turn 8 and 9. Yes, I know, it doesn't make any sense, but that's what the corners are called, because obviously they're taking them from the Formula 1 layout. So turn 1 is actually not this turn 1. I'm not going to get into those tongue twisters. I'm not Reverend Spooner. Oh, and that's a car stopped out on the circuit. That is one of the pinnacles. So that, I'm afraid, is Finley Green. So Finley Green has not been able to cross the line to start the next lap. Well, very disastrous indeed for Finley Green. His comeback is cut short. And we've also got a black and orange flag. The mechanical flag has been shown to Gao Ugia. Now that is the second of the two R&B racing cars from China. We've seen one of them in the wall, and the other one is now out. Now I wonder, has that happened under safety car? Because there's definitely damage to Finley Green's front wing on the front left side. So the black and orange flag has been given to Gao Ugia. I wonder if they actually came together under safety car. Well, yeah, look, there's big damage. You can see there to the left front side of the car. So Finley Green, I think there's been a tangle behind the safety car between him and Gao Ugia. Now this is going to delay the restart. And there's a broken bollard at one of the chicane apexes. So I wonder if either Finley Green or Gao Ugia haven't spotted the other, and they've ended up going through. For those who aren't aware of what the black and orange flag means, it's also known colloquially as the meatball flag. But the black and orange flag, yeah, there is Gao Ugia with a broken front wing on the right side. So I think they've clattered into each other. So Gao Ugia is going to have to come into the pits. Now this doesn't mean that he's out of the race, it just means he's got to come into the pits and fix the damage, because he can't race with that wing flapping in the breeze on the right side. So what is the Chinese for? Get back to the pits, mate. You've broken your front wing. Because Gao Ugia, who's actually been pretty handy in testing, he had some good laps over the course of the week. But, well, big difficulties. Now, fortunately, there is an extraction team on the main straight. So Finley Green's car shouldn't take too long to clear, but that's rather unfortunate that we've had one incident that's obviously brought out the safety car, and then we've had another incident under safety car by the look of it. I'm only speculating because I didn't see it, but certainly with damage to the right front of one car and the left front of the other, you would have to assume that it's together that they've had the incident. So Gauyogia is going to come into the pits at the end of this lap. Everybody else is going to take a wide berth from Finley Green's car. Finley is still sat in the car, unable to move. Look in the background, and we should see Gauyogia peeling off into the pits. We do indeed. So Gauyogia comes into the pits as instructed by the officials. And you've got a feel for Finley Green, haven't you? Such a long time out of the seat, coming back, only to be meatballed out of the race almost. Well, very unfortunate for Finley Green. 16 minutes to go, plus the additional lap. And now the marshals are finally able to get to the scene. That's the thing. You can't just get them out there when the cars are due to come around. You have to wait until there's a clear bit of circuit. We've done the whole let's wait and see what happens attitude in the past, and I never, ever, ever want to see a race director do that again. So, sensible work from the crew to get Gauyogia back out on the circuit with a mended front wing. They didn't even have time to put a number on it. Now, unfortunately, that could come back to bite them as well, because there are strict regulations that you have to carry a nose cone with a number on it. So they might just have got themselves shot in the foot there by not putting the number on the nose cone. I mean, I know it sounds trivial, I know it sounds ridiculous, but it's in the regulations. You have to make sure that the nose cone has a number on it, and if it doesn't, well, that's against the regulations. So the first two races of the season had no safety cars whatsoever. Race 2 of both championships, unfortunately, have both had a safety car incident. This one, particularly longer than anybody would have liked, including me. Really would have liked to have seen how this David Abgasava Intrafevazak battle would have unfolded. That's not to say we won't get started again. I think we will very quickly, because the marshals are moving Finley Green's car down the straight, and he stayed in the car, which is critical actually, because it means he can assist them in keeping the car in neutral and getting it moved off quicker. So Finley Green is no idiot. He knows exactly what to do to get this race restarted, even if he can't be part of it anymore. Safety car in at the end of this lap. Okay. So safety car will get going again. I told you we were going to have it relatively soon. So now it's time to go racing again. Arvid Lindblad will back up the pack. So now we get to go racing as Arvid Lindblad just holds them stationary. David Abgasava in the Fevazak stands up. Lindblad's gone for it. He's gone for it fairly early on. And I think that might actually work out perfectly. That's a very strong start from Arvid Lindblad. Caught out Zachary David to a certain degree, but David has been able to go with him on the toe. So it's green, 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 green. We're racing again at YAS Marina. And Lindblad in front of Zach David, then Alex Abgasava, then Taz in the Fevazak and Martinius Stenzorn. Rafael Kamara, Duke Tarpanen, James Wharton, Marty Boyer and Taylor Barnard, the top 10. And Lindblad has it all his own way up front in front of Zach David as they storm their way towards the W Hotel for the first time of this restart. 13.5 minutes left, plus the additional lap. Still plenty of racing can happen in that time. And Taz in the Vivazak getting hungry behind the pinnacle. At the moment, the top 3 drivers in this race are all rookies and all ready to score points in the Rookie Cup. Not the first time that's happened in Formula Regional Middle East either. Happened a couple of times last season, and obviously in its previous incantation as Formula 3 Asia it did as well, and that's a bit of a moment there out of the turn for Taz in the Vivazak. Just when he was trying to hunt down Alex Abgasava. He can't afford too many moments like that. Meanwhile, further back, Murray Boyer and Taylor Barnard are having an absolute rumble. So Boyer and Barnard dueling away for 9th place, and they've both drifted wide as a result. Barnard trying to go the long way round on Boyer. That's the championship leader, dueling with Boyer, and here comes the MP of Rinicella. Valerio Rinicella squeezes on the inside line of Taylor Barnard, and Barnard has to let him go. He's going to lose 2 places, as here comes Teofil Nall. What a rotten restart for Taylor Barnard. Down to 12th. Wow, that's a real headache for the British driver who dominated yesterday. First warning for the 18. Oh, big chop across between Tarpanen and Wharton. These two just can't stop racing each other. 11 months ago, they were dueling for the F4 UAE title on this very circuit, and they hit each other on the opening lap of the last race of the season, handing the F4 UAE title to James Wharton. Now they're squabbling in Formula Regional. Tarpanen, relentless. You're not getting through, James. James goes the long way round. Now trying to cut back for the switch. Do you really think Tuka's going to fall for that? No way, no way. In the background, Barnard sliding around again, and he's fallen down another position. He's lost ground now to Brunel Pino. So Barnard down to 13th, and I think Nikhil Bora is now lining up a move. Well, this is an absolute disaster for Taylor Barnard, it has to be said. With 11.5 minutes to go, you couldn't really have done a worse job, unfortunately, on the restart. Hopefully he's got time to fight it back again, and if anyone's going to, it's going to be Taylor Barnard. Don't forget, he once drove from outside the top 30 last year to P2, so he knows exactly how to fight back. But the big question is, has he got the tyres to do it? Taz in the Vuvuzak, on the march to Alexander Abkasava in 3rd position. Behind him is Martinius Stenzorn of Norway, runner-up in last year's fantastic run. He was 2nd in Formula Regional Europe last year, Martinius Stenzorn. Here they come again, down the back straight, on the run to the final chicane of this lap. Slightly different circuit configuration, and the starting grid is on the support paddock in Formula Regional Middle East this weekend. Won't always be like that. Certainly for the time being, a big banzai coming from a long way back on the inside. Teofil Nile tries his best there to get the move on Valerio Renicella. Renicella has to go over the chicane, and he's going to gain an advantage there. He has to back off the throttle. And the problem now is that Teofil Nile's having a battle. Oh, contact! And a very unhappy Bruno Del Pino shakes his fist at Teofil Nile. As around the outside comes Nikhil Bora. How lucky was Bruno Del Pino? He almost lost the car altogether, and now Nikhil Bora has come through. Del Pino trying to cut back on his teammate. Taylor Barnard watching it all unfold. Back to the W Hotel. Del Pino's going to be angry, but he doesn't want to hit his teammate, for goodness sake. Through the W Hotel section they go. Let's look at this again. Now look, Del Pino's got to run, and Nile cuts across him. Cuts back in, but he nudges Teofil Nile and almost loses the car. Shakes his fist at Teofil Nile. But I have to say, I think that's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, you know. So Nile moved across, but so too did Bruno Del Pino to cut back the other side, and he just misjudged it. So I think that's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Well, tricky stuff. Very tricky stuff. But Teofil Nile determined not to let Bruno Del Pino battle with him. And that's the Spanish F4 champion going to battle with the Euro Cup 3 rookie champion. Out of the turn, onto the back straight again, and we're watching Duke Guitarpanen trying to take on Rafael Kamara, having dealt with James Wharton for the time being. Now he's going after his next man. Further up, his teammate Martinius Stenzorn is going to make the dive on the inside of Indra Vuvuzak. Indra Vuvuzak leaves him space. Will he get a faster exit though? Stenzorn looks pretty lined up. Alex Abkasava's safe in 3rd for the moment with 8.5 on the clock. Here comes Stenzorn, the Norwegian. He's going to take on the tie. Taz in the Vuvuzak, trying to hold the middle of the road. Stenzorn's got to commit now. Now he's decided to go that way. Can he make the switch back? Watch out for Rafael Kamara, the Brazilian is right behind him. Rafael Chaves Kamara trying to move his way forward. Stenzorn's got another run on Indra Vuvuzak. Squeeze there onto the runoff. Now we could dive for the inside of the W Hotel. Thank you very much, says Martinius Stenzorn. Lovely overtake. Brilliant, brilliant work from Stenzorn. So that puts him into P4 now. 1 place away from the podium, 8 minutes plus the additional lap. He's just about got enough time to close up after Alex Abkasava. So still they continue on. On they go, down to the left-hander. And through they work. On they continue on. Up the climb. Now, instead of dropping down the hill to the hairpin where Verstappen and Hamilton got it on for the World Championship 3 years ago, heavy braking, turn sharp left, drop down the corrugation. Left, right, left, through the corkscrew. That's basically the curbs they're on there rather than the racetrack. They come through, onto the back straight again. Very hard pushing here from Lindblad. David keeping him honest, though. He's only a second behind him. Down to the braking zone. A big dive from Wharton. Takes on top of it. It's his teammate. Oh, Wharton's just taken out his teammate, Kamara. Big mistake from James Wharton, and he knows it. That's going to be such a heartbreaker for James Wharton. dear, oh dear, oh dear. Wharton makes the big lunge on Duka Tarpanen, misses his braking completely, hits his teammate Rafael Kamara. Kamara's going to be fuming that he's been taken out by his own teammate. Tarpanen and Boyer have to take avoiding action, and Rafael Kamara's race is over. James Wharton's got back on the road, but now he's being overtaken by everybody. There goes Emo Fittipaldi Jr. And here comes Costa Taparis. He gets through and runs wide, and so too does Brando Badoa. But they're both trying to take on James Wharton now, as Rafael Kamara crawls back into pit lane in front of me. Look, James Wharton with a broken front wing. It's game over for the Australian. Still trying to keep it going, but he's going to get a meatball flag if he's not careful. So that's absolute disaster for James Wharton. What a shame for the Australian. Big lock-up into the back of his teammate Rafael Kamara, and two Mumbai Falcons are out of it. Well, that's really shaking things up now as well. Tappanen is now P6. Boyer is now in 7th place. Rinicella in 8th. Teofil Nal is in 9th place. And creeping into the points is the Indian driver Nikhil Bora, as there is Rafael Chavez Kamara crawling out of the car. Big, big disappointment for the Brazilian. Completely not his fault at all. But James Wharton is the kind of character who will hold his hand up and say, I'm really sorry. Complete mistake, my fault. Say what you will about it. I've got no defense, and it's happened again! Teofil Nal has nudged the back of Rinicella. Rinicella. It looked to me as though Rinicella was a little bit slow out of the chicane. Let's look again. Nal just got a decent run and caught Rinicella completely by surprise, and he's tipped Valerio Rinicella into a spin. So now Rinicella's gone around. Wharton comes into the pits to retire. And now Rinicella is going wheel to wheel down to the first corner with Pedro Claro. So Claro, the Brazilian, trying to take him on. Oh, that's an absolute dummy sold there as Pedro Claro gets the run on Valerio Rinicella. And now Emerson Fittipaldi Jr. has got a chance, as off the road again goes Brando Badoa. That's the second lap in a row that Badoa's ended up running wide. Wow, it's just like Grand Prix racing in the 90s all over again. You've got Fittipaldi and Badoa out there trying to take on Claro and Rinicella. 4 minutes and 12 still to go. It's a great battle going on behind as well. That's Tabares, Carrasquedo and Maschio. And they're still having a great duel. Big dive at the inside, teammate on teammate. Nikhil Bora tried his best to get through there on his teammate, and he's not been able to make it work. So Nikhil Bora, I think, dueling with Bruno Del Pino. There is Yuga Chukwu, who suddenly finds himself in 12th position. Nikhil Bora having lost ground there to Taylor Barnard. Barnard's got through to move up into 9th. So Bora, Del Pino and Yuga Chukwu are now dueling away for position. Lindblad still holding on in front of David. Then Abkasava being caught now by Tazanopol in the Vuvazak. Then it is Duka Tarpanen in front of Mari Boyer. 8th is Niall. And there's a battle coming in as Yuga Chukwu goes for Bora. Bora has to take avoiding action. Now this is going to be awkward because he's got to give the place back to Bruno Del Pino. Incident involving Wharton and Kamara is going to be investigated after the race. Look, squeezing up the inside. Yuga Chukwu forces Bora over the chicane, but Bora's in a problem now because he's got to give the place back to Del Pino, which he does, without losing the place to Yuga Chukwu. Smart driving from Bora. Gives the place back to his teammate, but now he's got to hold up his combatant. As into the pits right in front of me comes Costa Taparis, the Australian. So the Evans GP driver appears to be out of the race now as well. James Wharton has rejoined the circuit with a new front wing, but obviously the incident is going to be investigated after the race, as is the incident between Teofil Nal and Valerio Rinicella. But how about this? Arvid Lindblad keeping himself neatly in front of Zachary David. Stenzorn in 3rd. Abkasava down to 4th and dropping like a stone, I'm afraid to say. So once more, another brilliant drive from a driver across 2 races. Stenzorn is looking good for a 2nd podium and already emerging as a potential championship favourite here, Martinius Stenzorn. 2nd in Freca in 2023. Oh, and a big spin right in front of us. Something really went wrong there. Not quite sure what happened. We need to go and have a look at it. But certainly there was a big incident. It's one of the MPs. Now, who's that that's gone around? We've already had a few nasty incidents in this one. Now, who's that that's gone around? It's Valerio Rinicella again. So Rinicella's had another incident. What happened? Oh, he got tagged there by one of the PHMs. Now, that might be Brando Badoa. And somehow, he has kept that out of the wall. That is incredible from Valerio Rinicella. How has he saved that from going into the wall? I cannot believe it. On that corner at that speed, you'd have thought it's a dead cert for the first corner barriers, but that is an amazing save from Valerio Rinicella. Well, absolutely extraordinary. I genuinely don't know where to look now because you've got Lindblad out in front. David is only a second back from him. He's got a chance. Still with a little bit of time to go. If David just matches the pace, big lock up there from Del Pino. That could be enough for his teammate to get him. Bora's going to line him up. Yuga Chikwu's not going to be far away. Oh, this is awkward now. Bora is backed into the path of Yuga Chikwu once more. McLaren Jr. hustling the Indian driver Nikhil Bora, fresh from his Indian Racing League campaign when he fought for the title with his good friend and teammate, the Malaysian driver Alistair Young. Now battling and wrestling with Yuga Chikwu, the American, based in New York City, and under the tutelage of the McLaren Young Driver Program. The first to be signed to it for quite a long time. Dare I say, the first to be signed to it since Lewis Hamilton. I don't think it's quite that correct statistic. I'm fairly sure a few other drivers were on the McLaren Driver Program after Lewis Hamilton was. Only a few seconds to go. Is Lindblad going to cross the line with a few seconds in hand here? That could give us one extra racing lap. So Lindblad comes through, crosses the line now, and he is very lucky. He's only got one lap to go now. So he crosses the line, and now there is only going to be one lap to go by my math. Yes, we are on the final lap. Now Tarpanen is battling with Boyer. Boyer's really going to commit to this. Round the far side. I'm a Formula 3 driver. This is how it's done, Tuukka. But Tuukka Tarpanen shows him a clean pair of heels. No, Mari, this is how it's done. Excellent work from the Finn. The Tiger is doing a terrific job. Another top 6 finish. He's on the march, and the Race GP boys have come fresh out of the blocks, and they are scoring points left, right, and centre. Stenzorn on for another 3rd place, and Tarpanen on for another top 6. But out in front, it is going to be Arvid Lindblad, surely, ahead of Zachary David, who has run out of time to do anything about the British driver. He's keeping him honest. Stenzorn is still there in 4th. What about Abkasava, though? Abkasava hanging on to 4th place by a thread, as Taz Vivazak has a real shot of getting himself into 4th position. Out through the left, up the climb, halfway through the right flick, they'll get back on the brakes and then turn sharp left down the corkscrew. But Vivazak's only going to get one real shot of this. There's Teofil Nal, who's been in the wars a couple of times in this race. I wonder what race control will have to say to him after all of this, as Valerio Rinicella has come back into the pits to park it. Very unfortunate. But for Arvid Lindblad, up front, his 2nd ever Formula Regional race, and the Red Bull youngster continues his amazing performance from 2023. He ended the year as a winner in the Macau F4 Trophy race. If the Vivazak's going to try, it's not going to work. Arvid Lindblad is going to take the victory here at YAS Marina. Lindblad has done it. Lindblad takes the win. We're too busy focusing on this battle to watch him. Lindblad gets it from David, Stenzorn in 3rd, from Abkasava into Vivazak, Tarpanen and Boyer. There is Arvid Lindblad, your race winner. Lindblad in victorious fashion here at YAS Marina, only his 2nd race in Formula Regional. And what a sensational job it was. Kept Zachary David honest all the way to the end. But he was never going to crush under the pressure. Arvid Lindblad, a race winner, and he is also the rookie winner. Zachary David has to be content with 2nd place, the young man from Malta. A great run. And Martinius Stenzorn, the Norwegian, 3rd position again. That is great news as far as his championship attack is concerned. So Martinius Stenzorn doing a terrific job. So genuinely a sensational run as everybody continues to put on a terrific display in Formula Regional. Another absolute cracker. Anything that could have happened in that race pretty much did. And we certainly had some very nail-biting moments in that one. But Arvid Lindblad definitely giving us a great masterclass in how to take the lead and disappear twice, of course. Because he did so before the safety car and then was able to do so after it as well. But good work from Zachary David. Worked hard to keep him as close to him as possible. But a very good run indeed, as Arvid Lindblad showcases that in just a few years' time, if Max Verstappen does get bored, if Sergio Perez is not given the chance to continue on in a few years, well, there's a lovely little whippersnapper from London called Arvid Lindblad. British and Swedish heritage, of course, for Arvid Lindblad. But in a few years' time, he could just be the man to go for it in the future. An excellent performance. Arvid Lindblad takes the glory from Zach David and Martinius Stenson on the podium again. Alex Abkasava from Tazin de Vivazak, Tuukka Tarpanen in P6 from Mari Boya, Teofil Nile, a rocky road to 8th position. Then Taylor Barnard just squeezing some points ahead of Bruno Del Pino in 10th position for the MP Motorsport squad. A very tough race indeed. 11th for Nikhil Bora in front of Yugo Wagachukwu and Noah Lyle. John Bennett 14th from Matteo De Palo and Ricky Liu. Then Pedro Claro, Emerson Fittipaldi Jr. ahead of Jesse Gadascado. And Giovanni Mascio crossing the line in 20th for the Pinnacle squad. Was with R&B Racing last year, of course, now with Pinnacle. 21st position behind them, Brando Adua ahead of Gaudio Gia. Then Yaroslav Zalaho and James Wharton. Retirements for Costa Tabaris, Valerio Vinicella, Rafael Kamara, Finley Green and Wang Xiongwei. Some very tough race battles all the way through the field on that occasion. Not everybody having a clean race of it, not everybody having an easy run. But Arvid Lindblad made it look easy out there. Martinius Stenson and Zach David. Once again, it's a double podium for Race GP. But for Arvid Lindblad, the dream keeps going. And he has come through to take a famous victory in the second race of his Formula Regional career. Cool as a cucumber. Knows exactly what the score is. And he is absolutely in race-winning form. This man, though, Martinius Stenson, comes out of these first two races with a pair of podiums. He could make it 3 in the third and leave here as the championship leader. Definitely worth keeping an eye on that. Zachary David worked hard to keep him close. But there is Arvid Lindblad. A very relieved driver, I'm sure, after the pressure put on him by Zach David in that race. Good to see it all unfold. Alex Abkasava able to come home for 4th position despite all the pressure put on him from Tizanopol into Vivazak right at the end of the race there. But there is your man, Arvid Lindblad, the Red Bull youngster. And there is Martinius Stenson, the Norwegian, looking good to continue this road. Zach David looks pretty content with 2nd place, but I think he felt maybe a win could have been on. But a great chance to move forward. So there's plenty of highlights to look over. We'll have a look at those, and then when we come back, we'll be ready for the podium. Another scintillating race battle here at YAS Marina in the Formula Regional Middle East Championship, the second race of the season, and a real barnstormer of a battle. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are now having the podium ceremony for the 2024 Formula Regional Middle East Championship, certified by FIA, Round 1 YAS Marina, the second race of the season. Let's welcome our top three drivers. In third position for Norway, YAS Marina. The Race GP driver continuing his fabulous run, and another incredible points haul. It's looking very good indeed for him. In second place from Malta, David. A first podium of the season, and once more it's two Race GP drivers on the rostrum. But on the top spot for the first time for Great Britain, Arvid Lindblad. The Red Bull Junior for the Mumbai Falcons racing team, able to come through from the reverse grid to take 25 points and put them straight on the board. He will also take the Rookie Cup victory, of course. A very exciting run indeed. So it's my honour to invite Mr. Davide Dugobi, General Manager of Top Speed. He will present the trophies to our three drivers on the podium. In third position for Norway and Race GP, YAS Marina. And in second place for Malta and Race GP, David. And the winner of both the race and the rookie trophy for Great Britain and Mumbai Falcons Racing, Arvid Lindblad. An excellent display from our three drivers. They will gather together for a group photo on the top step of the podium. And that has really thrown the cat amongst the pigeons as far as the championship battle is concerned. It really is game on here at YAS Marina with one race to go this weekend. Anything is still possible. Ladies and gentlemen, YAS Marina, David and Arvid Lindblad. It's entirely up to them if they're going to celebrate, but I think the boys are very wise to move the bottles well away from the rostrum because they don't want to get their race suits dirty, ready for the third race today. Looks like the Race GP boys are going to celebrate. Arvid Lindblad doesn't want to soak and drench his race suit. He's still got one race to come. The Race GP boys are going to celebrate. Wow, a fabulous run. A terrific race, and we've got one more to come in Formula Regional Middle East, of course. We're going to take a pause in proceedings. There is a third race to come of this weekend for both the F4 UAE Championship and Formula Regional Middle East Championship. Don't go too far away. We'll be back when we conclude the race action here at YAS Marina Circuit in Abu Dhabi.